Astrological Aromatherapy Tuesdays. That's a mouthful. How about like Astro Roma Tuesdays? That sounds good. So in honor of Venus and Mars coming together soon in like a couple of weeks, or I guess maybe even, yeah, about a couple of weeks, on the 21st or the 22nd of February, depending upon your time zone, they will come together in the morning sky in Aquarius. Okay, so let's just talk about the masculine and the feminine coming together, right? Venus represents the divine feminine, Mars represents the divine masculine, and bringing those two together in the sky for our visual feasting and pleasure. Mars is just coming out of the beams of the sun, and so is not easy to spot. I haven't seen Mars yet. I'm not sure if you have, where you're located. If you have a low horizon line, you're up early, that'll give you the best chance. But they're coming together so that Venus will be approaching Mars and then passing Mars by because Venus moves more quickly. So let's talk about like an essence, an essential oil, aromatherapy that helps balance two opposing opposites, right? So the feminine and the masculine, and bringing them together. Basil is what we're going to talk about today. So basil is so yummy. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I have a few different ones here. I have a sweet basil, and I have an exotic basil, and I have a holy basil, which is a different plant altogether. Tulsi, that probably many of you drink in tea, but I'm sure a lot of you use basil in your cooking. So that brings up a good point. Any essential oil that's made from a plant that you would use, an herb you would use in your cooking, are always good for digestion. So basil is great for digestion. But back to the astrological component of it. So basil is known as a brain balancer. It helps to balance the two hemispheres of the brain, right? The two halves. And so it's an amazing one, I think, for this coming together of Venus and Mars, of our masculine and feminine coming together so that we can, support more unity around these two energies within ourselves and then out in the world at large, right? As we're all trying to move beyond the patriarchy, how do we bring the masculine into a greater healing balance, and how do we bring the feminine into more empowerment and healing balance as well? And I think basil is an amazing one that we could use because it's happening in Aquarius. And so Aquarius is like our nervous system, it's air sign. I love basil for Gemini as well. Both of those, and Libra as well. Like all the air signs can really benefit from things that support the nervous system, help with that thinking, overactive mind. And basil is an amazing one to like help bring that into balance, as well as like basil is really strong. It's a strong herb, but it's very sensitive. Like it's really easy to bruise. It's sensitive to temperatures, like if once it gets cold here, basil is the first thing that's gone in my garden in the fall. So basil is great for bringing two opposing opposites into greater balance, connection, intercommunication between the two halves of our brain. It's also so great as an antidepressant. It helps with that. It's very pain relieving in general. So physically, emotionally, spiritually, digestion, we talked about. And one thing that's really interesting that basil is known for, which I don't have any personal experience with, but I know people that have, is past life regression. So if that's something that you are working on or particularly interested in, try using basil, right? So basil is great. I love to use it on the crown of my head, making sure it doesn't like drip down in my eyes, but also on my tummy or the bottom of my feet is a great way. And I will be using a lot of basil as Venus and Mars come together in the sky. See you later.